The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. Dave Asprey. Dave Asprey is the founder of Bulletproof and author of the New York Times bestseller, The Bulletproof Diet. He's a Silicon Valley investor and technology entrepreneur who has spent 2 decades and over $1 million to hack his own biology. Dave lost 100 pounds without counting calories or excessive exercise, used techniques to upgrade his brain and lift his IQ by 20 points, and lowered his biological age while learning to sleep more efficiently in less time. Learning to do these seemingly impossible things transformed him into a better entrepreneur, a better husband, and a better father. Dave is a creator of the widely popular Bulletproof Coffee. He's host of the #1 health podcast, Bulletproof Radio, and author of the New York Times best-selling books, The Bulletproof Diet and The Headstrong. Through his work, Dave provides information, techniques, and keys to taking control and improving your biochemistry, your body and your mind, so you work and it all works in unison, helping you to execute levels far beyond of what you'd expect without burning out, getting sick, or allowing stress to control your decisions. Dave would be very happy to know that as I'm actually recording this, I'm having my Bulletproof coffee. I'm a big fan of Dave and obviously the work and what he's managed to do in a relatively short period of time, because I remember when I pretty much launched The Best You, he was starting with the whole Bulletproof movement. And it has become a movement. Bulletproof Coffee now is available in the main stores. He speaks all over the world. He influences and helps and transforms people's lives. And I'm a big, massive fan. And my work with him was, I interviewed him for the Best You magazine quite a few years ago. And additionally to that, he spoke at the Best You Expo, and that was in Long Beach. So this interview was an opportunity for me to catch up with him and for him to give us the latest and share why he was so excited at that point to speak at the Best You Expo. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy and all the best. Dave, thank you so much for being here today.
Bernardo, thanks. It's a pleasure to chat with you again. We've both gone so far since we first chatted 4 years ago, just in reaching lots of people and teaching them ways that they can have more energy and just do more things. So it's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And for those of you that are, obviously following Dave and wondering who's this guy, well, I'm Bernardo. I'm the founder of The Best You. I've been running events in London for a long time. I'm the publisher of the Best You magazine. And we are doing these big expos. We just did one in London with 180 speakers and 12,500 attendees. And we're just doing our first one in Long Beach on the 24th and 25th of March. And we've got the pleasure and the honor of Dave speaking there. So Dave, tell me about this amazing journey. I mean, kind of from what you've done and where you started, it must be amazing. Please share kind of how you got into what you do now.
Sure. I had a really successful career in Silicon Valley, and I'm in my mid-40s now. When I was 26, I made $6 million, which was pretty nice, except I lost it when I was 28, which wasn't very nice. The problem was I hit 300 pounds. I weigh 100 pounds less, 100 pounds less of fat now than I used to. You can see, I'm not going to look all crazy, but for a typical 45-year-old, I'm pretty happy with how I look right now. But it's not just how I look, because at the time my career was doing so well as this young guy, I started getting brain fog, and I already had the diseases of aging. I had arthritis in my knees. And they told me at the doctor's office that I had a high risk of dying from stroke and heart attack. I was pre-diabetic. And basically, I was a walking wreck before I was 30. But it wasn't for lack of trying. I had gone on a low-fat, low-calorie diet. I'd worked out 6 days a week, an hour and a half a day. And what happened was I stayed fat and I got strong and I got even more tired. So I'm struggling. I have the accelerator all the way pushed to the floor and I'm slowing down and I felt helpless. And I felt like it was a moral failing because I didn't, maybe I didn't try hard enough. Maybe I should have had even more kale. But it just wasn't working. And one day I just realized, you know what? It's not that that I'm not trying hard enough. It's that this stuff doesn't work. Fortunately, I'm a computer hacker, and that's what I do. And hacking is this idea that you can take control of the system even if you don't know everything about it. You just need to know, if I do these things, I can get this result. Well, the body's the same way. We don't really understand many processes in our bodies even today, but we know more than we have throughout all of history. So I became a professional biohacker. I've run an anti-aging nonprofit research and education group in Palo Alto for 20 years and ended up getting to the point where I've written a New York Times best-selling book about how your brain works. The Bulletproof Diet has been published in 14 languages with more than 500,000 copies globally. And I invented bulletproof coffee. That happened because after I did the normal things you'd expect around trying to get better physically, trying to get better mentally, I decided I was going to go big. So I went to Tibet and I learned meditation from the masters. And I went to South America. I did ayahuasca with shamans way before it became a cool thing to do. And in Tibet, at 18,000 feet, this crazy thing happened. This woman, about half my height, gave me a bowl of yak butter tea. I felt terrific. And I came back to the US and tried to replicate it and put butter and tea together, and it did not taste good. And I found out yak butter I couldn't buy, but grass-fed butter worked. And certain kinds of coffee worked better than others. And I ended up coming up with a special kind of coffee bean, mixing with butter instead of milk for a variety of biochemical reasons, and an oil called brain octane oil. And what came out of that was this incredible focus and a zero cravings, and that became a product, the first product that was on my blog. And my blog was written as a Silicon Valley executive for myself when I was 20. I thought 5 people would read the Bulletproof blog. I had no idea the podcast, which was just an excuse to talk to the world's top leaders and scientists and people like that, I had no idea it would blow up to be a Webby award-winning show. I had no idea that millions of people would read the blog. Literally, it was, if 5 people could avoid the struggle that I went through, the blog would have been a huge act of service. And I already had a big job. I didn't need to do what I'm doing now. But now Bulletproof is, a major brand. We did 100 million cups of coffee last year. And you'll find our products all over the place, including at Whole Foods, on bulletproof.com, on Amazon. And the books have hit the New York Times list multiple times. And I just had no idea because I just wanted this to be better. I wanted to be on all the time. I wanted to just have this unlimited energy. And what I believe today, having explored the depths of personal development and biochemistry, I believe that willpower, the power to be who we are, it is a biological phenomenon. It's the power that we make in our body. And now we understand that process enough to hack it. And that's what I teach people how to do. Here's how to have more energy in your body. So you can take that energy and then you can use it wherever you want to. And you can use it to be a better human being. And you can use it to be more loving and caring and kind. And our natural state is to be nice to each other as long as we have enough energy. So that's where I put my energy. And I get that from drinking a lot of this.
It's just great to see the journey and how many people have bought into kind of the things that you promote. I mean, was the word biohacking around before you? I mean, it's your work. It's something that you kind of created, isn't it? The whole concept around it?
There's this idea of an emergent phenomenon. I started talking about biohacking very, very early on, and I could have trademarked the term biohacking. And I sat down, I wrote the first definition of biohacking to pull a community together, did the first biohacking conference about 5 years ago, and created a movement around this. And I wanted it to not be something any one person or company could own, because this is something that has always existed. The ancient traditions in every country were based on, let's observe the world around us and let's write down what we can notice about these patterns, and then let's make it better over each generation. And what I found was that in the West, we had broken these practices apart. So we have Navy SEALs over here. We have astronaut programs over here. We have radical anti-aging guys like me. I'm going to live past 180, by the way, and I'm actually serious about that. I might die trying. That's okay with me, but I think it's possible, right? And then we have professional athletes, and we have psychology and transpersonal psychology. We have all these different fields, but they didn't talk to each other. And the notion of biohacking, the definition of biohacking, is the art and science of changing the environment around you and inside of you so that you have full control of your own biology. And the point there is different people want different results. So you may want to get swole, or you may just want to have tons of energy. But whatever your goals are, it's that you wanted your body to do what you want it to do, and it doesn't always do what you want, but it does what the environment around it tells it to do. You can control your environment in a way that no one's ever been able to control in all of the world around us. So let's use that, because it's a lot easier than sitting here and trying and failing the way I used to.
If you're interested in working with me, contributing to the magazine, maybe speaking at any of our many events around the world, partnering or licensing The Best You, go to www.thebestyou.co.
Now, a lot of the stuff, as you said, it's just great to see. I popping into any of the shops and seeing your coffee like the one you're drinking right now. And, it's just great to see. And you said over 100 million cups of coffee last year. But you've created also so many additional products. And every time, so which ones are you most proud of, apart from obviously the coffee? Because I know you've got your collagen protein, you've got the brain octane, which I use as well. The coconut charcoal. Tell me kind of what out of the latest things that you've created are you most proud of?
Sure. I'm really grateful for the brain octane oil. And this is a special extract of coconut oil that is much stronger even than something called MCT oil that some people may have heard of. And what this is about 5% of the fat that's in coconut, and it's very rare. But when you take this stuff, and it's built into the Bulletproof Coffee recipe, it's built into our collagen protein bars. By the way, the new flavors, the mint chocolate chip and the chocolate chip on those
they're great.
Like a religious experience, right? Without the sugar. And those sorts of things, having that built in throughout the day has transformative effects. Because Bernardo, something else I've done along the last few years, I started 40 Years of Zen, which is a $2.5 million neurofeedback facility for executives outside Seattle. You go in for 5 days, we glue electrodes to your head, and we measure your brainwaves while you're doing personal development. And what I found is that people can do 2.5 times more intense personal development when they have brain octane present than when they don't. And the reason is brain octane gets metabolized as a fat that doesn't get stored as fat. It has to be burned. And when your body burns it for fat, the brain loves it, and you actually have a lot more energy and less cravings. So when I say 100 million people or 100 million cups of Bulletproof coffee last year, every one of those cups completely decimated someone's cravings. And when your cravings are gone, you're a nicer person. You're nicer to yourself, and you're nicer to the people around you. So brain octane has just been transformative in my own life. I used to have like ADD, and I would have serious brain fog, and I just wouldn't pay attention. I didn't have the level of vibrancy that I do now. And brain octane, as a part of many of our products, has been just so life-changing. Every time I go somewhere and talk to people, they're like, Dave, do you know what this did? I had a 70-year-old woman come up to me at the Bulletproof coffee shop in Santa Monica, and she's like, do you know how big this is? I'm 70, and my whole life I never went a day without a craving until now. Like, I just want to give you a hug. I'm like, okay, if a little bit of oil can do that, that's something I'm super grateful for. The other big products, we just came out with Smart Mode, which is a very powerful cognitive enhancing set of substances that comes from plants. And things like this have been a part of my life in Silicon Valley as an entrepreneur and as a father of 2 young kids. Sometimes you just want to have enough energy to like be focused and present for your kids at the end of a long day. And it's just too easy to put your feet up or just tell them, be quiet, daddy needs to chill. But then having enough energy to fulfill that role in my life and to be a good husband and all that is part of it. And every morning I take Smart Mode and I do the Bulletproof diet and I avoid the foods that make you tired and make you weak. And amazing things happen. One of the other products that I build into my life and that I'm really happy about is those collagen protein bars I talked about, because they taste so good. I can give them to my kids. And it's one thing if I have a craving, and it's one thing if I'm a little bit cranky, but it's 10 times worse if my 8 and 10-year-olds are cranky and have cravings, because they have no self-control at this age yet. But I can put that oil, I can give them those bars, and then they also are just like happy and focused and satisfied, and they draw nice pictures, but they don't like walk around asking for candy all the time. And that brings peace into my life. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling there, but you get the point. It's all about like, how do we satisfy the inner cravings that we all have that are there for a reason?
But it's also about, kind of what you're doing is I mean, and this is kind of what I suppose it's all about. It's about educating people. And I think kind of one of the things that And that's kind of when we do these shows and we have these variety of speakers, is because, you know, we are on an ongoing process of learning, growing and evolving. And a lot of the times the things that we consider food aren't food. And obviously kind of there's a lot of study into what you do. So if anyone that is, you know, coming into this new, you really need to look into kind of all the stuff and all the work that Dave and Bulletproof are doing, because, you know, they're really producing amazing things. So Dave, I wanted to talk to you. Sorry.
Here's a suggestion, Bernardo. For no cost or anything like that, go to the Bulletproof website and just search for roadmap. And all of my work about nutrition is on a one-page roadmap you can print out and put on your fridge. It tells you what foods are good for you, like the bulletproof foods, what foods might be good for you, but might actually cause a lot of problems, called the suspect foods, and what foods are just not food anymore, and those are the kryptonite foods, as well as when to eat what. One page, you just look at it, which proteins are good, which proteins are bad, which fats are good, which fats are bad. So you don't have to know all the science and all the thousands of studies. They're in the books if you want them. You don't need them. I just want you to know how to do the things that work so you have more energy to do what's important to you, because maybe studying nutrition and biochemistry isn't your thing. Totally get it. That's just search for Bulletproof Roadmap and it'll be there on the website.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you so much. That's great advice. Absolutely. There's a lot of work. You put a lot of work into it, and if it's summarized into one page, even better. Now, I wanted to talk to you quickly, because there's a lot of stuff to cover here. Now, tell me about your latest book, Headstrong.
Headstrong is a new book about this idea that willpower comes from biology, and that your brain and your entire body are powered by these ancient bacteria called mitochondria. And 2 billion years ago, our cells merged with those cells. And we like to tell ourselves that our cells harness those cells. But the real story is that there are a lot more ancient bacteria inside of you than there are actual cells in your body. And more of them even than there are cells in the bacteria in your gut. So some interesting things come out of this. This means that if those bacteria that are your power plants, that are also your environmental sensors, if you can do things in your life with small amounts of time that give them more energy, keep them strong, keep them young, they will, in turn, give you extra energy, give you extra willpower, and keep you young. And if you feed them the wrong things, or you do things in your life inadvertently that stress out these bacteria power plants, what happens is you are stressed out all the time. Your fight or flight response is constantly triggered. So in this book, I put together all the research about this, and it's sometimes very simple things. What kinds of exercise cause you to grow younger, cause you to grow more of these batteries or power packs? What daily practices work best, and which ones actually cause harm that you probably don't know you're doing? And the idea is there's a 2-week program that turns your brain on, because I suffered with brain fog. I was at work and I couldn't remember things in meetings. I just couldn't focus. I was really struggling in business school, and these techniques transform your energy, your willpower, and they make you a nicer person. And it's literally by making the battery in your brain work better. We didn't know this stuff 5 years ago. So Headstrong's about that, and it's got recommendations from top physicians, top brain doctors, and it's really kind of taken the country by storm. It's done very, very well, and everyone who's read it, who I've spoken to, has just said, I had no idea. I only did 20% of the things in the book, and I totally feel better.
Thank you so much. Now, the other question I wanted to ask you is this, the great work that you're doing with Mark Atkinson and the Bulletproof Training Institute. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because Mark spoke at our event in London. He's great at what he does, and I wanted you to kind of share because it's very exciting. It's very, very exciting.
The Bulletproof Training Institute came about from this idea that I'm one guy. And I've poured 20 years. I spent $1 million upgrading my own biology that I shouldn't have had to spend. And there's a lot of personal development stuff that happens when you're harder working. Now, if you're more powerful and you're a jerk, you're just a more powerful jerk. So what do you do about that part of it? How do you change what's inside your head, even what's inside your heart? And I wanted to build a coaching program like no other, where our coaches would understand the biochemical underpinnings of being a powerful human being, but also remain grounded, remain focused, and aware of the various states of being that we're capable of having. Because when you're that kind of a coach, when you've got that, you can walk into a coaching engagement. And I've done some coaching engagements for billionaires, for very, very successful people You can walk in and you can remain centered and grounded and focused. And that's what we've been doing at the Bulletproof Training Institute. We're nearing 1,000 coaches now, or people who said, I want to know how to help other people be better human beings. And you cannot separate biology from psychology, from emotional things, from spiritual things. It's a continuous system. So let's address the whole system instead of looking at just what's in your head and things like that. And it's been profoundly effective, in part because Dr. Mark is such an experienced personal development expert as well as a physician. So it's been a great pleasure to work with him at Bulletproof, and just to create the Training Institute and to grow it and to help so many people interact with so many coaches who can amplify this positive change we're making in the world.
If you're interested in watching the video content of this interview and many others, or interested in learning from world leaders and teachers, go to www.thebestyou.online.
Well, thank you so much. And before I go into just sharing very quickly about the expo and your talk there, one of the questions I forgot to ask you, and I've been meaning to ask you, was tell me about all these stem cells injections that you've been having and where you've been having it, because I'm really curious. It's kind of for us, or for me, it's the next thing, as you said, is coming down in price. It used to be a very expensive thing. Tell me about it. I'm very
sure.
fascinated.
In my quest to live to 180, I am willing to be my own guinea pig and to do everything on earth that makes you live longer or perform better, that's likely to have more rewards than risk. And stem cells 20 years ago were totally not there. But over the last 5 years, they've gotten there. And I can touch on this in my talk at your event, which I'm pretty excited about. But I've had stem cells extracted from various parts of my body and then re-injected into other parts so I can get younger. And at this point, I've had quite a lot of those treatments. Every injury in my body I've had knee surgery multiple times. I had shoulder problems. I've had my stem cells taken out and then re-injected into those sites, which caused healing. So I don't have pain in my body anymore. And I can do things that are totally unnatural, in part because of stem cells, in part because I eat collagen. But how many guys do you know who can do this without warming? I haven't done any yoga or anything like that today. What the heck? I'm 6'4". I'm 45 years old. You're not supposed to be able to do that. I'm getting younger. I'm bendy. I'm like Gumby here, like my 8-year-old. Okay? So yeah, I've been doing some stem cells, and what's happening is that you can actually turn off old injuries. You can grow new cartilage. We are at the precipice of being able to cause regeneration. Even my face looked younger than it did 3 years ago. I didn't put very many stem cells in my face. I did that once just to see what it was like for a book I'm working on. But they mostly just put them in my blood because my body's healing like a young person. We all have access to this, and it is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, just like cell phones did. So my job is to try out the weird stuff, usually when it's too expensive, and to drive demand and knowledge so that if you're facing surgery or you're like, things hurt all the time and I don't want that anymore, you know that there are options. You can explore them. And as we increase demand for this next generation of healing, what's going to happen is that it's going to become as affordable as cell phones are today. And it's like the biggest change in the world. I'm going to make that happen. It's so cool.
That is so cool. So cool. All right. Well, listen, let's jump in quickly into kind of how people can find you. And then also we'll just talk about the expo very quickly. So with your permission and everyone else's permission, I'm going to just share my screen very quickly and
awesome.
just go to your page. So basically, if for those that wanted to find out more about Dave, obviously, well, it's bulletproof.com. And, you've got all the information there related to all the amazing products that he has on offer. He's got an amazing newsletter, which I recommend you sign up to. You've got all the products here. So bulletproof.com. Anyway, you can't miss Dave. And then, obviously kind of his mission statement and what he does. As I said, I've been a big fan, so I highly recommend you guys, if for anyone that's in the UK that haven't or aren't Bulletproof users, I recommend it. And Dave is speaking at the Best You Expo. So the Best You Expo is a leading personal development exhibition. It's a platform where literally what we do is we combine thinkers, thought-provoking leaders, industry experts, and we literally have all these different kinds of rooms. So we've got 8 or 9 different rooms, which are all themed differently, covering aspects from inspiration to yoga to meditation, business, passion, empowering women. So we've got all these breakout rooms we have then the main stage with a great lineup of speakers, and Dave is one of them. Dave is speaking on the 24th of March at 2 p.m. And he's going to be talking about how to create better energy for the better you. So if anyone is interested in finding us, basically you just go to thebestyouexpo.com. And then if you came to thebestyouexpo.com, you've got two sides, the UK side and the US side. And that's it. And then you can see basically the floor plan. You can see all the different speakers that we've got lined up because, you know, we have more than 120 speakers. We've got Jim Quick there, Mastin Kip. We've got Dave Metz at Peoples. So, you know, over 120. And then our objective as a platform is to also create awareness that, you know, our job, our responsibility is not only to help you become the best version of yourself, but it's also to see how we can make the world a better place. So, you know, we're trying to create awareness of things about, like, you know, related to slavery. We've got a panel with A21 talking about kind of slavery. There's more than 34 million slaves in the world still, which is a scary number. We are also supporting the veterans through Veterans Path. We talk about, you know, we're going to be showing a program about plastic and all the great work that Google's doing to research kind of how we can clean the oceans as well. So anyway, it's just going to be a great weekend, packed with all sorts of stuff. 24th, 25th of March. Make sure you put, you know, that on your diary. We will be sharing the link here anyway. It's at the bottom. We're offering some free tickets for the general admission. And we got, you know, it's a very amazing weekend for 2 days. So Dave, we're honored to have you there. Thank you so much.
Hey, Bernardo, I'm happy to be there. And just hats off to you. This understanding that you are not separate from your environment. If you want to make the best you have to make the best world around you because you reflect the world around you and it reflects you. So the fact that at the Best You Expo, you're including these topics that affect everyone around you. No one wants to live in a world full of unhappy people that's full of pollution because that doesn't make the best you. So the fact you're bringing these together is so awesome and just so in alignment with the way it actually works. So thanks for doing all the work. I know how hard it is to do an event like this, and it's so well put together. I'm excited to be speaking for you there.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. We're delighted to have you there. So thank you. Thank you very much, Dave, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.